In this one, I'm going to show you how to improve at chess, especially if you want to try and cross over that 1,000 mark or anything really up to like 13, 14, 15, even 1,600. Especially the beginners to early intermediate players, this is going to be really useful for. So if you're really trying to reach a goal, set say below the 1,600 mark, this is going to be great for you. My highest rating up to about a week ago was 1807, and since then I've been going through a pretty bad tilt. These 4 games I'm going to show you, I'm trying out the English. I did win all 4 games. It was played midstream, so if you want to look at my latest stream and see how bad I was tilting at the beginning, feel free. I don't mind. But anyway, this is trying to be educational, instructive. So let's get into it. Okay, I'll start with the English. Now I've not made an English opening video because I'm just not to grips with it yet. I need to study more theory before I start considering to try and teach you guys the English. So after c4 the English, we have e5. I play knight c3, standard English stuff here. Bishop to g2. This I know is this setup here is the common theme in the English. You've got the fianchetto bishop there on g2, iron down here, taking control of all these squares. The knight here, except for you've got the c4 pawn developed already. Knight to f6, we have e4. Now all this is just to support the d5 square. Later on the idea is to play f4 and f5. Possibly even if they take on f4 push, and then again you've got the open diagonal. For now, at the beginning, I see this as a defender, potential great attacker later on in the game. You don't have to play e4, e3 is also sound. So knight to c6, knight to e2, supporting this knight and this d4 square, this weakness here. We have castles by black, castles by white, bishop to e6 and d3, supporting this pawn that's now being attacked by the bishop. So it moves the bishop again, which is actually ignoring chess principles. Moving the piece twice is such a short amount of time. I'd like to have seen queen to d7 as black, starting to put pressure on h3, threatening to win this great defender slash attacker later on in the game. But he allows me to play h3, which is another standard thing to see in English before you do the f4 push. h3 and then king to h2 and then push your kings in safety. So the bishop goes back to h5, keeping this pin alive on the queen. I get the king here to h2, getting ready to push f4, but first I play the queen to c2, just breaking this pin so the knight can support the push on f4. So the knight to b4. Now this was an error by me because I allowed the knight here with the tempo, but I'll try and fix it. Queen to d2, furthermore supporting f4. The knight to d7. So he's preparing to press f5 himself, trying to crack open this king on my side. But before I do anything, I threaten the knight on b4. The knight goes back, and now I play f4. He plays f5. I'll take on f5, opening up this bishop. He takes on f4, and I take with the knight, just pressuring this undefended bishop here, taking control of this nice outpost on e6 potentially. So the bishop goes back to f7, stopping the knight from potentially grabbing this outpost and a fork. And now I play b4, asking this bishop what the hell it wants to do. It comes to c4. This is the beginning of a mistake. I developed the bishop to b2 because if this bishop survives and this diagonal opens up, that's a great attacking diagonal for this bishop. So the knight comes to e5. I take the pawn here. He's not got time to trap the bishop because he's got to do something about the rook. Now, it wouldn't be a stupid idea, I suppose, to close the bishop in and swap this bishop off for the rook, being as though this bishop is very powerful. He's got this great diagonal, and you'll see why it's important in the moment. So we have queen to g5, and this is the blunder itself. I'll show you why. I get to play the knight to e4 with the tempo and the queen, opening up this bishop, hitting here. This bishop is undefended. So the queen takes the pawn on f5. I grab the bishop and he resigns. It's one thing to remember, okay? So if you want to improve at chess, you got to look out for this sort of stuff. I made the mistake earlier when I played the queen to c2, allowing the knight to come from c6 to b4 with the tempo and the queen, except for it wasn't quite as detrimental as this. He's got an undefended piece here. So literally, it's just a tactic that you want to be spotting. This guy missed. This guy was rated 1620, I believe, at the time, or maybe just a little bit higher. So you can see how easy it is for high rated players to spot. Not spot these sort of these sort of things. In this case, it was a discovered attack on an undefended bishop. And the queen is a high value piece, so these sort of things are you want to be looking out for. If you can attack a queen, okay, sometimes one if I just decided to attack the queen with h4, I just gave this piece up for nothing, this pawn, and it'd have had a great attack coming down here onto f1. So yeah, it's one to watch out for. Knight to e4 attacks the queen. I mean, okay, you can grab the bishop, I grab the queen, and you grab the rook. That's 8 points for 9. But believe me, I'd rather be white here. I think anyone would rather be white in that position. The queen can just be so much more active. So yeah, that was game 1. Again, feel free to check out the opening in the English. Use these games I'm going to show you as ideas to use for your own games, but don't take it for granted. Don't look at them and say, oh yeah, that's how you play the English. I'm not playing it 100% at the moment. Be sure though, when I nail the English, there will be a video. So anyway, that was that game. Sorry, I'll show you into this one. Game number 2. I'll play the English again. c4, e5, knight to c4, knight c3, knight c6, and again we have this idea of the English, what you'll normally see here. Okay, we'll leave the feedback on here, and we'll try and spot the blunders. Bishop to b4, bishop to g3, standard English idea. The bishop takes on c3. This time I didn't mind because this square on d4 is always weak. So I took with the b pawn. I get the open file for the rook later on, and whatever after I play my setup, I've got a hold on the d4 square, which is usually a weak square in the English. So we have the knight to c6, d3, castles, e4, rook to e8, bishop to e3, just supporting the d4 square, d6, knight to e2, preparing to castle, bishop to g4, pinning the knight to the queen. I'll just castle, ignore it for now, and then play after he plays a6. I ask the question, what the hell are you doing with this bishop? The bishop back, like we've seen in the previous game. King to h2, like we've seen in the previous game. This is standard English opening theory. However, or English idea, English opening idea. I am not playing the opening properly. I'm playing moves at the wrong time. So just bear with me. We'll get there when I get them nailed. You'll get the video. So I give you the ideas in a proper order. So queen to d7. Now this is why I played the king to h2, further supporting the weak h3 pawn. d2. Better move would have been g4. Putting pressure on this bishop, it'd have been quite claustrophobic here on g6, but nevertheless I broke the pin because I really wanted to play f4. Now f4 is a little bit dubious in the English, but if you want to play attacking chess from the English opening, it's what you want to be preparing. F4. Knight to E7, and it's a mistake because it's sort of, well, it would have allowed, again, just a claustrophobic bishop taking away the idea of the knight to G6 idea which he had, but I missed it and played F4 immediately because I'm impatient and like to play attacking chess. F takes on, E takes F4, knight takes an F4, knight to G6 now. I should have just took the bishop, but only now do I play G4. Slight mistake, it's not detrimental. The knight takes an F4, the rook takes F4, and the bishop plays back to G6. I double up on the F file, we have C6. The queen to E2 is, Stockfish says it's a blunder. I guess it is. I start prattling around with the queen a little bit after here, just getting a little bit paranoid, but it's not losing. It's an equal position. I still stay arguably better for white, if for a human to play just because it's easier. So we have D5 trying to break up in the centre. Now I'll play the bishop to D4. D takes E4. Bishop takes on E4 now. This is a blunder. It's for a human. All I see here was D takes E4. His bishop's blocked. I wanna wake it up. But if you look at it, there's a lot of pressure on E4. The knight can take after the pawn takes. Sorry, knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, and the queen can't retake because the rook's setting down the queen, so it loses a pawn, and that's what black starts to go for. But I missed this in the game. Again, you can see it in the stream. I actually missed that he pinned the rook to the king. So yeah, I just failed to kick the queen away. Rook takes E4. Yeah, the king back to G1. I should have just started playing here, but I just wanted to break the pin. It allows a few trades that are not great, but anyway, it happens. So after the swap offs, we end up in a very equal position. We've got opposite coloured squares, but these pawns are a lot better than mine. And black is a pawn up. So I play a few not very great moves, but again, I'm human, I'm not Stockfish. A few moves, we swap everything off. There's just a pair of bishops on the board now, opposite coloured. It's becoming a very drawish looking game should white play properly and black just make a couple of inaccuracies. So okay, we'll get in this position. My idea here is to stop the black king from being able to enter my end of the board. A5's been played. It can never really play B5 because I get a passed pawn. It can never even play B6 because again I get a passed pawn. So the position is in this position here is completely equal, completely drawn position. There's no way one player can break through without giving the other player a massive advantage. If I let the black king in here, he's going to start ripping me to pieces. All these weaknesses. So the king here on E5 is stopping everything. We'll play a couple of bishop moves. So I'm basically just waiting my opponent to slip up. And actually, it was in this position I offered a draw. And my opponent declined, and I was 50 points lower than him. Okay, I've played at the 1800 level. I beat a couple of 1900s. I understand the position is completely drawn. So we play a couple more bishop moves, and now my opponent lets my king in the position. Oh dear. So I get my king in. There's nothing he could do. The bishop came here to D6, cutting the king off. the black king cannot come to the defense of h7, but you might think, okay, the black bishop can. Who's defending this white square bishop? Nobody. So the bishop comes out. I start munching pawns. And now I've got passed pawns and the position is completely one for whites. And here, we'll play a couple more moves. Okay, looks like black can promote a pawn. I hold up a minute. Here's how you stop the F pawn from being able to promote. Can you see it? Just a tactic here. If you're rated below 1,000, this is the sort of stuff you really need to be looking out for to break the 1,000 rating barrier. Is queen to e2. Now, Stockfish says queen to f4 is sufficient. I don't like it. It's slow. Okay, you threatened to take it, but why not just take it with check? The king can't take on a5 anyway. The bishop covers it. So okay, the king moves to a4. Just take the pawn. The king comes into position. Queen to d4, defending the c3 pawn. There's no need to give this guy any advantage. The bishop came to f3 and he resigned. These couple of moves after I just played in an analysis after the game. So yeah, again, if you get this sort of position here, let's say where is it? If you get this position, opposite coloured bishops, you're pawn down and your pawn structure is not great. You just look to stop the black, the opponent from being able to get in. Okay, these pawns are here. They're weak, but if you notice on a positional point of view, all my pieces are on dark squares. I'm a pawn down and my pawn structure isn't great. I've got to make sure that this white square bishop can't start picking pieces up. So I've got all my pieces, every single one on a dark square. And to be honest, my opponent's got every single piece on a white square. My bishop can't pick up weaknesses. In the opposite coloured bishop endgame, this is what you want. And all I had to hold on to was getting my king to e5, and the black king cannot get into my side of the board, picking up on my weaknesses because this white square bishop can't. And all black had to do was accept the draw, or if he really wanted to decline it and play a little bit longer, just keep moving the bishops. That's all you had to do. Just keep moving the bishops. That's all you have to do, and you'll just draw on repetition. Black can't really go for any breaks here. This dark square bishop covers the promotion square. All I'd have to do is, let's say black tried to break and allowed this, or even allowed en passant. All I'd do, I'd pull the king back to d4. I'd let the black king still can't get into position. I'd let him think so. I'd let him even carry on going for the pawn. I'd just allow this dark square bishop here to cover b8. So if you notice, I've got the dark square bishop on the correct diagonal, covering a potential promotion square should black try something. And yeah, I just set the pieces in the right place. A positional point of view, okay, I'm a pawn down. Black should be winning, but I managed to get the positional side of chess that I really needed to get. If you notice, this white square bishop can never cover. This square's got to play back here, and he still has no breaks really. The king could somehow get away, I suppose, of being able to support this push, and black could end up a bishop down. So all he's got to do is just keep doing this sort of stuff, and I'd just do the same. Sorry, I can't draw arrows. So yeah, if whatever rating you are, then those principles there should see you right if you get a similar sort of position. Okay, let's move to the third game. Again, I play the English, as you can see, not very accurately. So let's go into the analysis. I'll switch these off for now. So yeah, this is an immediate blunder. Now, and the Caro Con, the only reason I played C5 is because I like to play the Gundahum attack against the Caro Con, and in that you see the exchange happen. So this is what I got wrong. You can't play the Gundahum without first exchanging to get the pass C pawn. If you want to know about the Gundahum, check it out. I'll leave a link somewhere around the screen. You'll see it. I'll make sure it's in there. So I don't get the Gundam because I just played. I thought I could get it, but I can't because there's no exchange on D5. So anyway, I start playing the knight around. I kick the knight around, and again, the idea in the Gundam is these pawns are your advantage. So I thought, well, I might as well play to the same principle of the Gundam attack. He kicks the knight around a little bit more. I'm not too sure what Stockfish wanted me to do with this knight. I think it wanted me to play to D6, but I just didn't like this trade because the whole point of this dodgy opening I've played is for the B and C pawn to be my advantage. So why would I play here for this to happen? So anyway, bishop to E6, E3 breaking open the centre or an attempt to. E takes on D4, Queen takes on D4, and now here I can remember that I've got to do something. He's threatening the rook. He's threatening B4. I desperately want to save these two pawns because that was the whole point of the dodgy opening I've played. And I also can't afford to let him take the rook because I've got no counterplay yet. The only move I have really was bishop to A3, and Stockfish wanted me to drop the pawn. So yeah, again I am playing a human. Okay, 70 points rated higher than me, but again I am used to playing at the 17, 18 and even 1900 level, so I wasn't too worried. It sent fine to me. The knight just putting pressure on the B4 pawn, so I happily took the knight. Stockfish thought this was a mistake, but why do I want him to take away my B and C pawns? These are the reason why I played this opening. And it also allowed me to start opening up a line for the B pawn and create a weakness on C6. Again, this is why I played this sort of opening, so why would I change it? Knight T2, a mistake. Why? Stockfish never gave me a great answer. Queen to D3. Queen to A4. Putting pressure on this C6 pawn. Bishop to D5, covering castles. Why is it a mistake? It drops a pawn, but he doesn't take it. He plays. He played F4 here. I was looking at the position. I didn't see a way of saving the knight, so I thought, okay, what can I do for a positional advantage? And you'll see what I did. It worked out. I played the rook to E1. Stockfish says it's wrong, but as a human, again, you know, we can follow Stockfish all we want, but at the end of the day, we're not computers. We'll never think like a computer. F takes on G3. The knight takes on G3, opening up this rook, pinning the pawn to the king. He plays E4. I play the rook to E3, defending the bishop on A3 and kicking the queen away. He wants a queen trade. I'm a piece down. I cannot afford a queen trade. So queen back to C2. He castles queen side. Now, this is dangerous for black. I have to start attacking. I played D4 in the hopes that it was going to take en passant. Okay, played a little bit of hope chess here and it worked. He took en passant. Rook takes on D3. Bishop to E7, rook back to E3. I'm opening up the position. This king is weak. Queen to F5 check. King to B7. Now, it says this is a mistake. I did this asking black to take, and you'll see why you want a black to take on b4. Take it on b4. b4 is a poison pawn, and you'll see why. He tries to kick the queen away, and I really desperately need the queen to keep covering on b1. So I pull the queen back to c2, keeping an eye on b1, and this is why. Queen took on b4, he took the poison pawn. Rook to b1, and that's the queen. And you notice here that, okay, we're even on material, but I've got the queen. Here you see queen to b2. It says this is an inaccuracy. Why is this an inaccuracy? I'm winning the knight. Bishop blocks, win the knight. Rook to e1. King to h2. Rook takes on c1. I play queen to g7. He has to move the king, but he blocks with the bishop. So queen back to b2, and I win the rook. This is the sort of stuff you need to be looking out for in chess if you want to improve and you are below, let's say, well, as you can see, the 1675 here before the game. I think it was 1682. Sorry, not 1680. I think it was 1684. He's practically a 1700 player, falling for just simple tactics. You see, this is all this is just a simple tactic. All you got to do is just spot them. I was rated, best part of 80 points less than this guy, and I played with a piece. I was a piece down, and played positionally, played very active, and I won the game. So again, it's slightly unfair because I have played 1900s. I was an 1800 myself. Okay, it's not a great rating. I can bang on about it all I like. It's not great, but it's a good rating. It is good. So I've tilted pretty bad. I'm trying to get my way back up there. I'm playing the 1600s, so why not try and teach you guys who are trying to reach a goal? Let's say anywhere up to 1700. These are, especially if you just want to get past 1,000 rating. These are the sort of tactics you need to be looking out for to win. I mean, I'm not even playing accurately. I'm playing an opening that I can't play properly at the moment. I ought to be doing more theory before I start playing rated games. But because I'm aware, I've got good tactical awareness. I'm being able, being a piece down as well, being able to get the game back. So anyway, the last game. If you've watched so far all the way through, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I really do. So again, we have the English. I can't play it, but I'm learning. C4, knight to f6, knight to c3, and g6. G3, bishop to g7. Play e4. The reason why I play e4 is just prepare the knight coming here should this knight want to move and do this sort of stuff. So yeah. And then I wouldn't take it. Let's just say the knight, I don't know, wanted to come here, be able to win this knight. I just didn't want to play with this again. It's not such a bad thing, but I didn't want to play like this game. That's why I played e4, getting the knight to e2. Should the bishop take and get the knight on c3. So anyway, stop blabbering on. Bishop to g4, pinning the knight. So I kick the bishop away, and now I think I did this in the first game. I have to rectify this cock up here. What I keep missing in English, I can't simply play my fianchetto bishop to g2, so maybe before e4 I should just be playing bishop to g2. Like I said, I need to study more theory on the opening. I'll play the check first. Why, I'm not too sure. Knight c6. I just wanted to break the pin, I guess. Knight c6, blocking the check, and then rook to g1. Preparing to fianchetto this way. Bishop takes on e4. Knight takes an e4. Knight takes an e4. Now fianchetto the bishop. See, okay, I lost a pawn, but positionally, I've got to improve my position. I've still got control of the centre. The knight covers the dark squares. This pawn's getting ready to come to d3, potentially d4, and I've got a hold on this square, and so on. So he tries to kick the queen. I take the knight on c6 with check. Now I wouldn't normally do this. Now the only reason I did this was to create a safe square for the king. I didn't want to waste a load of moves like this, trying to get the king to safety. So I decided to drop the bishop. Put the chess is a safe king, not an active piece. If you can have all the active pieces if you like, but if your king's stuck in the centre, it's dangerous. So B takes c6, queen takes c6, and the knight blocks. He had to block with the knight because if he blocked with the queen, he'd drop the rook here. Oh, I dropped my powerful bishop, but I got the pawn back. King to f1, getting ready to get to safety. Castles. King to g2, rook to b8, and d4. Just blocking this out while the knight's got a hold of this. I want to be able to move the bishop without dropping the b2 pawn. Okay, so we have rook to b6, queen to e4. Accepting, okay, you know, we've played d4 now. The rook can't take it, the bishop will take. Knight to f6, attacking the queen. Bring the queen back to d4, keeping an eye on this pawn should the knight move again. Queen to a8 check, and I now just put the king in the corner. h2 is nice and safe there. Knight to e4. Now I've got to be careful here. I want to shut this queen out of the game, so I have to admit that this pawn's going to drop. But again, I want if I lose a pawn and shut his queen out of the game, I'm happy. So I start preparing that. Bishop to e4, just keeping an eye on this for now. Preparing to shove. Rook takes on b2. Rook to b1, offering a rook trade. Okay, slight inaccuracies there, but we're okay. I've got to play d5. This queen's now no influence over here. So positionally, I'm just fighting to improve the position. Now here was contemplating bishop here, swapping off, tempo on the rook, but I thought, okay, I've got a lot of potential with this dark square bishop. Let's not swap it off. Rook to b1. Swapping the rooks off. We have a5. Now I really wanted here to play a4, just stop that pawn coming down, but I felt as though I could really play for advantage here. King to g2. I just wanted to play a waiting move. The queen hasn't got the check here, but he tries to use this to his advantage with his next move, c5. He wanted me to take on passant because after retaking the queen, he's got the discovered check, winning my queen. So I didn't take on passant, just pulled the bishop back. Bishop to d4. I took the bishop gladly. C takes d4. Queen to d3, just pressuring the pawn. Not really doing anything to this knight, but yeah, how are you defending this pawn? e6. I took on d4. E takes on d5, and the bishop to c2. He doesn't have time to take this pawn to give the discovered check, because I'm threatening mate. Queen stops mate by playing to f8. Now, bit of a one here. Why would you want to swap queens in this position? You're a pawn down. Okay, you could take the pawn on d5. You're equal on material, but you know, what's this queen doing? It's very passive. This is a very active queen, so let's use it. Let's take on d5 with check. Queen blocks. Do I swap now? Of course not. What checks has he got? We've got this position here. We've got the opposition on a diagonal to the knight with the king. So I think it's 2 moves, maybe 3. Yeah, I'm sure it's 2. Before he can... Is it 3? I think it's 3. I'll have to double check that after this. But anyway, the next 2 moves, he can't give me a check with the knight, so I'm not too worried. Plus the knight is, you know, it's 3 moves. So this knight's no threat to the king. This is hanging. But if I go ahead now and take on a5, the queen could just take on c4. I don't want to allow this. So we'll play the understanding that he really wants a queen trade. And to be honest with you, queen to f8 is the only move because the bishop's got this lovely diagonal, like I said earlier. It removes the queen from the attack of c4. So we have knight to c5. Queen back to c3, threatening the queen on h8 check, which is nasty. Queen to a8 again, check. King just back into the corner, nice and safe on h2. Queen back to f8 because he's got problems. He's got this mate threat here. Queen to h8. Pick a pawn up on h7 with check, and I'll pick another pawn up with on g6 with check. Queen blocks. Okay. I refused the queen trade earlier when he was a pawn up. Like I said earlier, I had the active queen, and he really needed his queen to be defensive. Again, positionally, tactically, we've refused the queen trade at the right time. We've gained 4 pawns for it, so we're 3 pawns up now. If we swap the queens off, can black win this endgame? No, I don't think so. I believe I could win this endgame against Magnus Carlsen personally. I'm not being big-headed, but really, you know, you got 2 isolated pawns, the heavy, you know, really bad targets for black. Really good ones for white, should I say? We've got 1, 2 passed pawns, and after this pawn has dealt with all this one, we've potentially got 2 passed pawns. So yeah, I felt like my queen's done its work. I took his queen on f7 check, king takes, and bishop to c3, skewering the knight to the pawn. Knight comes to e4, defending, and just f3, kicking the knight away off the defense. I can win another pawn, and he resigns. So yeah, so in this game, okay, I did play 100% accuracy with 100% accuracy, but it doesn't matter. I mean, there's a famous quote I've had on 1 or 2 of my streams or videos that the aim of chess isn't necessarily, especially while you're trying to improve, not the best move in the position, but a better move than your opponent's. So, for an example, if where is it? Okay, if in this position I went for the queen trade, who's winning this game? Is, in fact, what's the evaluation here? If I go this, who's winning this game? Actually, it's a very slight advantage to black. Okay, you've got to play very accurately. But black's got a slight advantage. Oh, it's actually going up a little bit more for black. It's 0.6. It's not massive. But if both sides play accurately, it's a win for black, isn't it? So, in this position, if only I find the correct move, it's a 2.5 advantage for white. And that's because white can pick up so many pawns for the endgame advantage. So, in the stream, towards the back end of the stream, if you want to check it out, we've got a 960 rated player just checking out the stream, and the videos on YouTube I might add, just to just try and pick up tips for his own games, and he's improving nicely. He's I think when he first started watching, he was rated 6, maybe 700. So in a short amount of time, he's matter of a couple of weeks at the most. He's gained 250 points at least, and he's touching 1,000, and he's really excited to break the 1,000 barrier. And we're going to try and get him past 1,000 before the end of the week. So my future streams, I will be giving out just training games. I'm not going to be trying to thrash you in the games, any game of play. The aim isn't going to be to beat you. The aim is going to be able to try and help you spot tactics. I'm going to be setting up things that don't quite jump out at you, but things that you could be looking out for, and I will allow you to take the opportunity to win the game. So obviously they will be unrated, but they'll be great if you're trying to improve at chess. So in this sort of position, okay, how does White win? He refuses the queen trade because Black's always got to defend this back rank while this bishop's screaming down this diagonal. The only move was queen blocks, and it removes the queen from the attack of c4, like we said earlier, allowing us to take on a5 without the queen taking on c4. Knight blocks, and again we threatened mate, and the queen's got to deal with it. We start picking up the queenside pawns, the kingside pawns, and only now when I feel like there's nothing else for this queen to do. Again, I could take here, but then he just wins this. If you're up pawns, it's a generally good idea to not swap off pawns. So I feel like, okay, this pawn's dealing with this pawn. There's a potential skewer here. We can deal with this. We can win this. And in fact, it's gone from a 2.5 to a 7.8 advantage for white. So here was the correct time to swap the queens off. And there we go. That's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully it's been educational. Hopefully it'll help you on your journey to improve to whatever rating it may be, whatever the goal is. Any feedback, I'll add the timestamps in the video. Yeah, hopefully this video served its purpose. You get better at chess and you achieve your goals. Any feedback, good or bad, whatever I'm doing right, whatever I'm doing wrong, let me know. If I'm doing something right, I'll continue to do it so you can enjoy the streams. If I'm doing it wrong, let me know. I can stop doing it, make it more enjoyable for yourself and everybody else. Any likes, extra subscribers, massively appreciated. And just before I go, I am doing a diamond membership giveaway just for a month on chess.com. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, follow on Twitch, and be a regular viewer. And on Thursday UK time around 10-11 PM, I will be getting Nightbot to shout out a random viewer's name at the time, and whoever it is will get a month's free membership, diamond membership on chess.com. So yeah, hopefully I will see you again, or you'll be seeing me again because I can't see through the camera into you. Yeah, I'll stop blabbering on now. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.